What's up, everybody? Dave Bartosiak here, and I have another chart of the day. This time, we're talking about Reddit. That's right, ticker RDDT. They just reported earnings last night, okay? And this chart really doesn't do it justice, and I'm going to get into this. So, our earnings report was pretty good. Costs are very low, and the revenue was far outpacing the growth in their costs. So that's all like a really good thing. Overall, the report was pretty good. But last night, we can see here the stock, I think it was like 216 or something at the close. Last night, this thing printed down, I think 174, 173. So it came all the way down under that 50-day moving average. When the conference call came in, they started bidding it up. And then already by this morning, it opened, you can see here, today's open was 203.92, got as high as 214, as low as $1.95. So really negative reaction initially to the earnings report. But when that happens, you get a slew of companies that come out, reiterate their buy ratings. Now, this blue line is our 50-day moving average. The 200-day is this red line here. So you can see that the 200-day just came into play because it was a recent IPO, right? We're talking back in March of 2024. So it hasn't even been around a year. That's why the 200-day really doesn't come into play. But the 50 sure has. And the stock has sort of meandered around that 50-day until recently where it's just really far above it. That's what we're seeing is the stock really pushing up past that 50-day moving average and moving higher. I was surprised to see this big open up here, given, the action that we saw overnight. So there's still this gap from previous earnings report that has never gotten filled. And that's a long way down. It's basically, you'd be cutting the stock in half to get all the way back down there. You kind of hope that never happens if you're, a long-term shareholder here. The growth numbers were absolutely astronomical, which is obviously a good thing here. Because Reddit is like slowly continuing to monetize its platform. And one of the things they were talking about with the partnerships they have with OpenAI to use Reddit's research in order to, fuel these, or not Reddit's research, rather Reddit communities and all that data that they have to fuel these, this AI and large language models. So that's kind of fun thing that they're doing, sort of licensing that data. Anyway, these all-time highs here happened just a few days before earnings. That's up at 230.41, and the stock sold off, heading into that report. So it wasn't much of a shock to see it give back a little bit. Again, it wasn't a bad report by any stretch of the imagination. I think like the midpoint of their revenue guidance was a little lower than expected for a nice quarter. I mean, the grand scheme, it wasn't a bad report at all. But when you've done this run, it's kind of natural to give back. So you see here, I mean, this opened for trading on the IPO day at $74. And now here we are up at 202. So that's a pretty dramatic move there for the stock. And it had been in this range. And then that big gap up sort of broke it out of that range. And then now, since that gap up, I mean, it's just trending higher. So I would, I'm a little bit more patient, I think, when I see stocks like this. And I'd be looking for a little deeper retrace, especially with the earnings. I want to see how this plays out over the course of the next few weeks here. So keep in mind that 50-day moving average down at 179.79. I'd be looking for that to get tested before I would, want to add it to a long-term position. It's really spicy here. And this is what I want to do is let's go ahead. Let's get rid of this 200-day since it's all the way down there. And an easy way you can use, again, this is on our interactive charts tab on Zacks. If you just hit the / key or the / key, you get the indicators. So RSI is one that I like to use. Relative Strength Index gives you an idea of overbought or oversold levels, or times when the market has been overbought or oversold. So it's just when the momentum really, really gets spicy, right? So you can consider these stocks overbought when they're over 70, oversold when they're below 30. Not too many oversold conditions on Reddit. Last time was August of 2024, where it kind of dipped there just for a little bit. And recently here, we do have this sort of overbought. And the market started to roll over. Hasn't really got to that 50 level, which is kind of neutral. So overall, you had overbought into the report, but it hasn't even gotten close to oversold levels. So if I'm longer term, I kind of want to wait for that to happen before I would add, if I don't have any position right now. Right. So I'm always kind of cautioning people of, we really want to, I know everybody thinks everything is going to go parabolic, but the fact of the matter is it just doesn't. So you want to be a little cautious. And the other thing is, you put together your list of stocks. You can have as many on that list as you want. Let's say you have 50 or 100, right? You can pick and choose. Once the technical setup is there, which ones you want to buy, which ones you want to sell. So for me, I'd be kind of holding off on this. I'd be waiting for a little deeper retracement, and then I'd be initiating position if I believe in the long-term trajectory here on Reddit. Overall, the chart, waiting for that dip to the 50-day, I think is what I'm looking for, and a little bit of oversold on the RSI. All right, folks, so if you're on Zacks.com, be sure to click follow the author here. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll be back next week, or at least I will, with another chart of the day. So for everybody here at Zacks, I'm Dave Bartosiak, and I will see you then.